And welcome back. We've already gone through one election cycle in Decision 2022 for school board seats. And in many ways, it was kind of lost in all the coverage of the mass shooting that happened here locally. But you had numerous candidates who ran campaigns based on their opposition to the teaching of critical race theory and also sex or gender-based education, also against COVID mandates. Generally, a school board is responsible to approve curriculum, hire a superintendent, and submit a proposed budget to voters to get their approval. But those issues this time around were overshadowed by those culture war topics. Joining us now to talk about this is Lane Dowdle, a reporter who's been covering this subject for our nonprofit partners at Investigative Post. So Lane, it's great to have you here. First of all, broadly, who are these candidates and how did these elections go for them a couple weeks back?
Yeah, thank you for having me. So there were two organizations who really vetted and endorsed these candidates who supported opposition to issues like, as you mentioned, critical race theory and COVID mandates. Those groups were Western New York Students First and the Constitutional Coalition of Western New York. The candidates they endorsed won 11 seats to school boards in Erie and Niagara counties. That includes 2 elected to the Williamsville School Board, the second largest school district in the region. Another 11 candidates were elected in other Western New York counties.
So Lane, what is some of the reaction that you've seen from these elections now that I mentioned this was kind of overshadowed because there was so much going on, but now we can kind of look back at what actually happened a couple weeks ago?
First, head of the Constitutional Coalition of Western New York, Nancy Otorcelli, tells me this is just the start of a push to elect school board members who support their platform.
When you get one win, that's a toehold that you've gotten in that cliff, and you got to keep climbing that mountain. You don't climb a mountain in one leap. It takes work, it takes time, it takes steps.
The organization, by the way, says it plans to support candidates in the November election for Buffalo School Board. On the other side, people like attorney Heidi Jones have concerns.
Folks should be very concerned that folks who have extremist political ideology are trying to make it onto all of our local political bodies, because the policies that they advocate have real consequences.
So both sides of it there. Finally, Lane, is this a local phenomenon or is this just part of something that we're seeing all over the country?
Yeah, school board races that run along ideological lines are becoming more commonplace across the nation. It's really becoming a hyper-local version of the polarization of American politics.
All right, Lane Dowdle with our partners at Investigative Post. Thanks so much for coming in. And by the way, Lane has even more in-depth coverage on this issue right now. Just go to investigativepost.org.